First, I should ask you, how's the baby?
She's beautiful.
That's good. That's good. Do you see all your friends from the Cosby Show still?
I haven't really seen anyone in a long time.
I explained to him how I wanted to use it on the show, because that would be a great thing to see a girl who's upper class kid having a baby, not married because she didn't want to be married, and the girls could root for her.
No, I'm just gonna bring up that time he slept outside Yankee Stadium to get World Series tickets.
When The Cosby Show premiered in 1984, it wasn't just a hit, it was a cultural phenomenon.
Mom, you know what Dad's gonna do? He's gonna go down, he's gonna say, like, one little scratch or wobble, and then he's gonna say no.
For 8 seasons, millions of viewers tuned in each week to watch the Huxtable family navigate life with warmth, humor, and wisdom.
Mom, you know what Dad's gonna do? He's gonna go down, he's gonna say, like, one little scratch or wobble, and then he's gonna say no.
The show broke barriers, presenting an affluent, educated black family on primetime television at a time when such representation was rare. It dominated ratings, shaped national conversations, and for a while seemed untouchable. Behind the scenes, though, the picture was far from perfect.
I explained to him how I wanted to use it on the show, because that would be a great thing to see a girl who's upper class kid having a baby, not married because she didn't want to be married, and the girls could root for her.
At just 16 years old, Lisa Bonet burst onto the screen as Denise Huxtable, the free-spirited, fashion-forward daughter who quickly became a fan favorite. With her natural charisma and bold style, Bonet stood out both on and off screen. While The Cosby Show promoted a clean-cut image, Bonet was unapologetically herself, an artist, a rebel, and someone who never quite fit the mold Cosby demanded of his cast. This tension would soon lead to major consequences. In the wake of the numerous allegations against Bill Cosby and the broader Me Too movement, public interest in The Cosby Show's hidden dynamics has surged. What did the cast know? How much was hidden from the public? While some cast members have remained silent or defended Cosby, others, like Lisa Bonet, have gradually peeled back the curtain on what really went on during those years. Now, after decades of speculation, Lisa Bonet has broken her silence in a way that leaves no room for doubt. In her own words, she has confirmed some of The Cosby Show's darkest secrets, stories of control, tension, and a toxic work environment that few dared to speak of at the time. What she reveals reshapes everything we thought we knew about America's once perfect TV family.
Thank you.
Oh, with that?
Yeah.
The Cosby Show didn't just find success, it exploded. Premiering in 1984, it quickly became one of the most watched television programs in America, drawing tens of millions of viewers each week. By its second season, it had claimed the #1 spot in the Nielsen ratings, where it would stay for 5 straight years. The Huxtables, an upper-middle-class African-American family living in Brooklyn, captured the imagination of a country hungry for positive representation and heartwarming stories. At the center of this picture-perfect family was Cliff Huxtable, a lovable obstetrician played by Bill Cosby, and his wife Claire, a sharp and elegant attorney. Together, they juggled careers and parenthood with humor and grace. Their children, including the free-spirited Denise Huxtable, played by Lisa Bonet, each brought their own unique charm to the screen. The show was praised for breaking stereotypes, showing a side of black life that had rarely been depicted in mainstream media. It was held up as proof that television could be both entertaining and socially impactful. But behind the sunny living room set and the carefully constructed image, a different reality existed. One that would take years to fully come to light. The public saw a harmonious cast, but backstage, there were tensions and divisions that few acknowledged at the time. Bill Cosby ruled the set with an iron grip, carefully controlling not just the show's creative direction, but the personal conduct of its stars. Cast members were expected to embody the Huxtable ideal both on and off the screen, leaving little room for individuality or dissent. Lisa Bonet, with her bohemian spirit and independent streak, often found herself at odds with this unspoken code. The pressure to maintain the show's pristine image weighed heavily on her and others, fostering an environment where honesty was suppressed in favor of appearances. For years, the public remained unaware of these contradictions. The Huxtables were America's perfect family, and perfection, it seemed, came at a steep cost. For a while, The Cosby Show seemed invincible, but as the seasons progressed, small cracks began to appear beneath its flawless exterior. On set, tensions simmered. Bill Cosby's need for absolute control over every detail, from scripts to wardrobe to cast behavior, created an atmosphere where few felt empowered to speak openly. Lisa Bonet, whose free spirit had initially added a refreshing energy to the show, soon found herself at the center of these growing conflicts. Bonet's creative ambitions clashed with the strict boundaries Cosby imposed. She wanted to explore more complex, mature roles that reflected her evolving identity as an artist and young woman.
Look, we don't go around murdering people, all right, Mr. Angel?
Cosby, however, expected the cast, especially Bonet, to conform to the show's wholesome image both on and off screen. Her refusal to neatly fit into this mold was seen as a threat. The tension between them became an open secret on set, with frequent disagreements behind closed doors. The breaking point came with Bonet's decision to star in Angel Heart, a dark, sensual thriller that stood in stark contrast to her role as Denise Huxtable. The film's explicit content sparked immediate controversy. Cosby, furious over what he saw as a betrayal of the show's values, reportedly pressured network executives and the show's producers to distance Bonet from The Cosby Show. The situation reached a boiling point. Though publicly framed as a mutual decision, her eventual departure from the main cast was the result of intense behind-the-scenes friction. The fallout didn't stop there. Younger cast members, many of whom looked up to Bonet, began to feel the weight of the show's restrictive environment. The unspoken expectation to uphold a flawless public image left little room for individuality or dissent. While the cameras continued to roll, off-camera morale was shifting. Some whispered about the mounting pressure and favoritism on set, but few dared to speak out. For now, the cracks remained largely hidden from public view, but they were growing wider with each passing season.
I explained to him how I wanted to use it on the show, because that would be a great thing to see a girl who's upper class kid having a baby, not married because she didn't want to be married, and the girls could root for her. I was explaining all that we could do.
Lisa Bonet's departure from The Cosby Show marked a turning point, not just for her, but for the narrative surrounding America's favorite TV family. Officially, it was framed as a natural transition. Bonet's character, Denise Huxtable, was spun off into her own series, A Different World, allowing her to grow beyond the confines of the Huxtable household. Behind the scenes, however, this was no amicable move. The decision came after mounting clashes with Cosby, who had grown increasingly frustrated with Bonet's refusal to conform. The media at the time followed Cosby's lead. Stories painted Bonet as a rebellious young star jeopardizing her own career with poor choices. Her role in Angel Heart became a lightning rod, and instead of celebrating her artistic risks, many headlines focused on how she had embarrassed the wholesome image of the Huxtables. In press interviews, Cosby remained diplomatic, but made subtle remarks about professionalism and family values, further shaping public perception against her. Privately, the experience was devastating for Bonet. Once a beloved figure on one of television's most celebrated shows, she suddenly found herself isolated and vilified. The stress of navigating relentless media scrutiny, combined with the personal strain of leaving a project that had defined her career, took an emotional toll. Bonet withdrew from the public eye for periods, focusing on her personal life and creative pursuits far removed from the mainstream. Within the cast, reactions to Bonet's ouster were mixed. Some sympathized with her but kept their distance, wary of drawing Cosby's ire. Others remained loyal to Cosby, believing that Bonet had brought the situation upon herself. Few openly supported her in public. The risk was too great. The once tight-knit ensemble quietly fractured, and though the show's ratings remained strong, the warmth that had characterized its early years was gone. Lisa Bonet had broken away, but at a cost that would linger for years to come.
I'm bored.
Really? I've got over $3 million worth of books I bought in your room.
Even as The Cosby Show continued its reign atop the television landscape, whispers circulated behind closed doors. The image of Bill Cosby as America's beloved father figure was carefully crafted and fiercely protected. But on set and within the industry, there were persistent rumors of a far more troubling reality. Stories of controlling behavior, mistreatment of cast and crew, and allegations of conduct that went well beyond creative differences were quietly passed from one insider to another. Among those closest to the production, there was a sense that certain truths were known but never acknowledged. Some crew members spoke of the tense atmosphere on set and Cosby's unpredictable moods. Others claimed to have heard disturbing accounts about Cosby's behavior toward women outside the studio. Still, the culture of silence remained strong. Speaking out could mean losing work or being blacklisted in an industry where Cosby's influence was immense. In Hollywood circles, the gossip extended beyond the show itself. Stories about Cosby's alleged predatory behavior had circulated for years, shared in hushed conversations at parties and industry events. Yet, these whispers rarely reached the public. Cosby's legal muscle and pristine public image kept most mainstream media outlets at bay. For a long time, the gap between what was privately known and publicly reported remained vast.
Bill Cosby is a serial rapist. I'm hopeful that his sentencing will reflect the magnitude of the damage and havoc that he's wreaked on the lives of many women.
For Lisa Bonet, life after The Cosby Show brought new freedom and new risks. In the years following her departure, she became increasingly vocal about the toxic environment she had experienced. Without directly naming specific incidents, Bonet gave interviews, hinting at the darkness that lurked beneath the show's glossy exterior. Her words were often dismissed as the bitterness of a young actress who had clashed with her famous mentor. Yet over time, her accounts began to resonate. When the Me Too movement erupted in 2017, the public conversation shifted dramatically. As dozens of women came forward with detailed allegations against Bill Cosby, Bonet's earlier comments were reevaluated through a new lens. What had once been seen as vague criticism now seemed prophetic. In subsequent interviews, Bonet made it clear that she had sensed the truth all along, and that the industry's complicity had allowed it to remain hidden for far too long.
We will never know. I don't think any of us will never know what the truth is, you know. And you're talking about so many different. There's so many different.
As the allegations against Bill Cosby finally exploded into public view, the cast of The Cosby Show was thrust back into an unwanted spotlight. For years, many had avoided addressing the long-standing rumors, but now silence was no longer an option. Reactions among the former cast were starkly divided. Some, including Felicia Rashad, publicly defended Cosby, describing the accusations as a destruction of legacy. Others chose more cautious language, expressing sympathy for the accusers while stopping short of directly condemning Cosby. A few remained conspicuously silent, unwilling or unable to confront the painful contradictions between their public memories of the show and the horrifying revelations now surfacing. Lisa Bonet's response stood apart. After years of coded remarks and subtle critiques, she finally spoke with clarity. In interviews, she confirmed what many had long suspected, that she had witnessed disturbing behavior on set and had sensed the darkness surrounding Cosby. Without recounting specific details, Bonet affirmed that the atmosphere had been toxic and that she was not surprised by the wave of allegations. Her words carried weight precisely because she had distanced herself from the show decades earlier, sacrificing career opportunities rather than remain complicit. The reckoning forced a new and uncomfortable conversation about the legacy of The Cosby Show. Once celebrated as a groundbreaking work of representation, the series now existed in a state of cultural limbo. Could its positive contributions be separated from the actions of its star? For Bonet and others who had experienced its darker side, the answer was clear. The truth had to come first, no matter how painful. The fallout left the former cast fractured, relationships strained, and old wounds resurfaced. Some cast members privately expressed regret about their past silence, while others clung to denial. The sense of family that had once defined The Cosby Show was irrevocably broken. In the end, the enduring image was not one of unity, but of division, a reflection of the hidden truths that had been buried for so long.